Hey guys, kinggath here, and in this video we're going to go over the notification and tracking options you have so you can keep tabs on what's happening in your settlements while you're out and about or in another settlement. So if you open up your City Manager 2078 holotape and then go to options, you'll find a section called notification options. Now, most of these are disabled by default because we've since added what I consider a much better way to keep tabs on all this, but there are a few pieces of this that are enabled by default, and I want to go over those now. So first off, the notifications you can get from sim settlements can appear in two ways, either in the typical message up in the top left corner, where they'll just appear for a second or two and then disappear, or you can switch them to pop up, which are those messages that you actually have to hit OK to. So many people have asked, can I increase the amount of time that those messages in the corner stay there so that you have a better chance of seeing them? And the answer to that is no. That's actually an engine limitation. Can probably be overridden by F4SE, but because we don't use that as a requirement, that's not something we can implement. So instead, the only option you have, if you want to guarantee you will see every single message from sim settlements, is to change this to pop up, and then each will have to individually be dismissed. It can get kind of obnoxious, so I don't personally use it, but it is available for you if you would like it. So by default, these will be set to the corner type. Now, the first two options here are simple toggles to turn every option, every notification on or off. Next up, you have tax day. So every few days in some settlements, you will receive taxes in the form of caps that will pop up in your workbenches, and you can simply turn this on or off to decide if you want to get that notification when that happens. Then the next three here are available for each of the different plot types, and started and completed have to do with a plot that was empty. So for example, if you built a plot and there was no settler there to work it yet, you wanted to allow them to move in on their own. When that happened, and then when that first level was built, these two particular messages would fire off if you had these turned on. And then the one that is enabled by default for all of the plot types is the improved message, which tells you when a plot upgrades. So in general, it's assumed that most of you are probably going to build a plot, assign a settler, and it's going to go to level 1 while you're there, and you're only going to be interested in knowing when those plots upgrade. And so that's the default options. And then finally, we have the city improvement started, which means that a city began to upgrade. Now, some of these message descriptions are holdovers from when the holotape used to be fully immersive, which is why we don't just say things like upgraded rather than improved. It was designed around a whole nother way this holotape was laid out. And the reason that this hasn't been updated again is because it's mostly assumed that you guys are going to use the tracking options, which in my opinion are a far better way to keep tabs on what's going on in sim settlements. So if you back out to the main screen of City Manager 2078 and go down to Tools, there's a section called Tracking Options, and this allows you to display things as map markers so you can figure out what's going on. So I'm going to go over what each of these options are, and then I'll show you where you go to track these. So the first one, City Awaiting Upgrades. This is relevant if you have city building upgrades on manual. So if you have that set up so that they will only upgrade when you specifically trigger it after the eligibility has been met. So after all of the time has passed, the scrap is generated, etc., and then it's eligible, it will appear on if you have this turned on here. Next is cities in debt. This is something for those of you playing with maintenance costs, and this will allow you to keep track of which settlements need you to go deposit more caps. The next two, city leaders and city planners desks, are mostly just helping features. They allow you to track where the city leader and city planners desk are in the nearest settlement you're at. Next, we have new city construction. This will tell you when a city plan has upgraded recently. These track, both the new city and new plot will track anything that has upgraded since you last visited that particular settlement. So if you were in the settlement when one of those upgraded, it won't show up, but if you were out somewhere else and one of these triggered an upgrade, it will appear on the marker so that you can keep track of it. And as soon as you visited that settlement and leave again, those will be cleared out automatically from those markers. Next are plots awaiting upgrade. So if you had some sort of plot set to manual, so for example, if you have an advanced industrial turned on to manual and you want to keep track of when those are available for you to go change them, you could change this plots awaiting upgrade to on, and that would mark those. Recent construction will tag anything that has recently upgraded or built within the last hour of gameplay. So this is a good one if you're not sure which ones you want, but you want to just be able to quickly tell what's recently happened. Or for example, if you want to double check what was popping up in those corner messages. So if you have the notifications turned on and you didn't see them all, having this turned on would be able to help you quickly identify which ones had been built. And then lastly is unhappy citizens. So this will be tagged if any of your plots is failing to produce resources or is ineligible to upgrade due to happiness. So this is a great way to figure out quickly which of your settlements need additional happiness, though you can generally know that for the most part, Sim Settlements operates on a 70, 80, 90 happiness rating. So 70 for level 1, 80 for level 2, 90 for level 3 is generally your goal. As long as you have those, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But this is a great way to keep tabs on it at a glance on your map. So once you turn any of these particular things on, when you go into the data tab of your Pip-Boy, you'll find that there's a quest called City Manager Tracking. And for most of you, this will have started up the moment you first ran the City Manager holotape for the very first time. This quest will become available, and turning it on will reveal all of the map markers for that particular thing. So in this particular settlement, all of these are recent construction because right before I started this video, I placed down a bunch of plots. So all of those are considered recent construction because it's been less than an hour since they actually upgraded to their current level. And so those are all going to show up on my tracker. Now I can quickly turn off all of these by just unchecking that. So when I go back to my map, those are all gone. And these objectives that are there and the combination of things will change based on those settings that you set in your holotape. So if I go back into my tools and then tracking options and turn off recent construction once again, when I go back in and turn that quest tracking back on, you'll notice that nothing is tracking because I turned off recent construction, and instead the only thing I'm currently tracking is new construction, which are things that built while I was away. And since I'm standing here, none of those would apply. So that's how you use that tracking tool. That is my preferred way to keep tabs on what's going on in Sim Settlements, but the notification system is there if you want to get those messages, and you have lots of options to control those. All right, guys, stay tuned for additional tutorials, and definitely keep me posted in the comments if there are specific parts of Sim Settlements that I haven't yet covered in a tutorial that you'd like to see in the future.